We're going to discuss the dreams we have at night from a multidimensional perspective. So we're going to discuss all of these different dimensions in which dreams can be experienced in as humans, as multidimensional beings, okay? I'm simply going to discuss this from a spiritual perspective. Now, that may include also mental and emotional or even psychological things, but that will not be the main focus, and you will understand as we go further in this. And I will go into as many dimensions as are relevant. The closer we get to source consciousness, the less it's going to be relevant, because dreams do sort of indicate some level of a different experience, not just from our human experience, but also from the source, because it is a different level of consciousness. We could start with the simple fact of a third dimensional consciousness itself almost acting as a dream. So many of us, many of humans, experience what we might call a third dimensional consciousness. And this is sort of a low level of consciousness that has not awakened or is stuck in another paradigm, which is becoming more and more outdated as we grow and evolve and ascend as a spiritual consciousness of humanity. That is more of a collective thing. So because more and more people are awakening, the entire collective of humans is also raising in its consciousness. So this third dimensional experience is starting to fade away slowly but surely. So when we want to think about the third dimensional experience in regards to dream work, that is when we're not living our lives awake. We have not woken up from the dream, so to speak. We have not woken up from that spiritual consciousness that is third dimension. Now the fourth dimensional consciousness, that is where things get interesting. This is usually what we start to dabble into when we awaken. We also think of things like astral, emotional, and mental fields sort of living in this dimensional awareness, like if we want to categorize them. Of course, some of it is present in the third and fifth dimensional awareness, but it's just a different perspective, really. Over here, this is when we start to, become more and more aware of other things to our experience, and we start to see from more of a spiritual awakened perspective. We start to realize that it is our choices that really matter, and that it is our own spiritual awareness that can assist us. And when it comes to dreams, this is when we might have those very weird dreams. This is where some of us might start to do lucid dreaming. And I would say lucid dreaming is maybe more present in the fifth dimensional consciousness, but on the fourth dimensional, there can be sort of different distortions to the field. So what I've personally experienced that's more closer to fourth dimensional experience is when beings might present psychic attacks, or they might present things that are kind of disturbing and kind of dark. So that's what they might bring about in those fourth dimensional dream states, where it's kind of, cloudy, foggy, kind of, it can be emotionally triggering, it can be mentally triggering. I've had many dreams that have provoked, they have sort of flared up my gender dysphoria. I've also had many dreams where I've had different kinds of things try to really trigger me. So many different things. And even situations where I've had a really hard time where I've sort of let out some of that frustration, right? Some of that has sort of been hiding in plain sight in my own life, where I've been like really frustrated at something, just let it out. That has sort of acted as a channel for me to get these things out. But again, not focusing on that therapeutical aspect too much on this. I do believe that can really actually happen in those fourth dimensional as well as fifth dimensional experiences. But this is usually, the fourth dimension is usually where that can sort of act as a portal to psychic attacks. Okay, so I wanted to mention that because what can easily happen is that if a being wants to attack you, or if the system wants to take you under its control, what can easily happen is that these beings might start to sort of distort the reality, the sort of web of consciousness around you in a way. And they will try to find a little loophole or a little portal there so that they can sort of enter your field again and make you, I suppose, more available to be attacked psychically. Because if you're not, if you don't have that access to you in that way, then you're not going to be attacked. That's like one of those things. If your consciousness is at such a high level, they will not be that prone to attacking you. You know, I've been playing RuneScape. I'm just gonna make a RuneScape reference. This is so funny. It's kind of like how I wouldn't go and attack like a level 40 guard at like whatever I am level, you know, I think my attack is like level 24 or something. So like I wouldn't go and do that because it just wouldn't make any sense. I would get my ass kicked. so that's kind of what I'm talking about when it comes to this psychic attack thing, right? Like they can't, like if you're at level 50 and the psychic attacker is like level 5, they're not gonna even bother. They're just gonna go the other way. They're gonna run, you know? But sometimes they will try. Sometimes they will kind of see like, okay, maybe there is a little bit of a chance if I kind of twist the web of the astral consciousness here, maybe I can sort of sneak myself through that hole. What's important to remember in that is to remember that first of all you can always stop the dream. That is one thing that I do. I can always stop the dreams if I want to. If I don't want to be in a dream, I will just wake myself up. Another thing is I can lucid dream, and in those situations sometimes I can also change the dream. And so especially if I've had situations where people have dead named me in my dreams, I usually correct them. So that's what has been going on with that. And we might use that as a segue to the next stage. We start to have more of those lucid dream experiences. This is when you can control yourself first of all in a dream, but also sometimes things that happen in the dream. Okay, that's kind of even a different level. I was oh my god, this is like a good few weeks ago when I was watching the Matrix movies again, and so then like after that I remembered, oh right, I can do whatever the heck I want. And this was in a dream actually. There was like a zombie in this dream that was coming towards me, and then I was just like, kind of looks like there's no way up, but I can actually do whatever I want. So then I teleported into the completely other other side of that space. That was the lucid dream solution to that. I was like, really, it's almost like I had like a soul retrieval from watching those movies. So it was weird. But that has happened, like things like that have happened before where I've been able to, you know, like I said, if somebody dead names me, I can just correct them. If somebody does some kind of shit, I can either, you know, defend myself or I can change the entire dream. So those type of things have definitely happened, and I sort of consider this again like as a fifth dimensional consciousness. And even in those situations, yes, things like that can happen where the beings or the energetics might kind of shift between that fourth to fifth dimensional spectrum. But yeah, things can kind of shift even in that fifth dimensional consciousness. And you can be in a fifth dimensional consciousness while you are in a technically fourth dimensional environment in a dream. And it's not really a black and white, sort of like a strict line between these dimensions. There are overlaps. Then moving on to the sixth dimensional consciousness. So thinking about the sixth dimensional consciousness, this is where we are very much embodied and merged with our higher self, with our multidimensional self, with our higher consciousness. Whenever that is going on in a dream state, This is where actually in waking life you might feel like you are in this very floaty state, so it might be really hard to tell what is a dream and what is not a dream, but it's not the same way as in third dimension when you're just not aware at all about anything. It's not the same thing, it's a different one. It's kind of like a floaty, in the sixth dimensional consciousness, it's kind of more like a floaty thing, where the energetics are so much more high, there's so much more sort of bliss states and stuff like that. It almost feels like while you are in your body, all of this multidimensional consciousness is there with us. It feels like you are walking on the dimensions. Like it's not ungrounded necessarily, but it can feel a little bit like that. It can feel a little bit floaty because the energy is raised so much. You're basically lifting yourself off of the density. And therefore in the sixth dimensional consciousness you might also have experiences of... Actually, to be honest, I don't have that many examples of this, but I also find that this is a very strong lucid dreaming point, because you are so embodied. So therefore it almost feels like your body also comes with you in the dreams. So this is where also dreams can feel extremely real. And they can feel like they are really happening. And I've also had a lot of predictive dreams happen in this state, actually. It's like the sixth, seventh dimensional awareness that sort of brings these more prophetic dreams to our awareness. And one example would be, for example, in a dream I pick up a coin from a ground and then the next day I make a sale online, you know. That's kind of how that can happen sometimes. And seventh dimensional consciousness is more about that enlightened awareness, so that is also that's kind of like a Buddhic, Christic consciousness that happens after we reach a certain level of embodiment, and this is where our ego starts to dissolve, so we basically get very close to not having any ego whatsoever. And dreams from this state of consciousness can be quite intense. I would say intense in a positive way. This is just information that's coming through me right now. Okay, so this is not me, hold on. In this awareness, we might let ourselves operate without the ego and just explore the dreamscape, the reality of that dreamscape without attachments to the physicalities, first of all, okay, because even in that sixth dimensional consciousness we might still think about the physicalities, but I find that in the seventh dimensional consciousness those practicalities, you know, they just dissolve. It is probably what I experienced in that zombie dream was very close to seventh dimensional consciousness, because I didn't really care about, you know, what my body could do. And then of course all of the solutions are also coming from that enlightened awareness. So that will also impact in the way that those dreams go, and whenever we have those lucid dreams, probably most of them are, if you manage to consistently hold seventh dimensional consciousness, then these dreams are most likely going to be very lucid. Now, eighth dimensional consciousness is where our oversoul experience begins. And if you have ever had dreams where you have been in other people's bodies, this is where it happens. I have had an experience. I've had many different bodies in my different dreams, you know, haven't always been in this body. And what I wanted to say about that is, this is where we start to see like other bodies that are in our oversoul experience. So other people and their souls, their bodies and stuff like that. In this sort of eighth dimensional dream consciousness, we might as well experience that. As we go higher, so say 9th to 10th dimensional consciousness, this is the oversoul Godhead and oversoul guidance realm sort of experience of a dream. And I have experienced this. This is when you might experience yourself looking at things from that perspective, what I've often seen is I am in the sky, I have no body, I am just in the sky, and I look at landscapes, or I look at things from the sky, even if they're not like landscapes, but they can be anything basically. And I was told that yes, this is very close to like that 10 to 11 dimensional consciousness. So very close to, yes, it is very much oversoul, very close to the sort of source level of awareness. Not quite though, the source is closer to 13th dimension and beyond, because the source has a source. Source has a creator also. But oversouls are, we have like a godhead deity. So mine is Horus. Of course I will go to the sky to look at things if I am in my oversoul awareness. If I'm in the godhead consciousness, of course I will go to the sky to look at things, because Horus is the god of the sky. And he's a bird, so of course. and there's many avian beings that live in the 9th dimension that are also as thin, also in the guidance realms. So without this guy actually is my multidimensional self, that is my most consistent frequency is avian starseed awareness. If you have those experiences where you don't have a body, you have reached a certain level of consciousness. It would either have to be, probably 9th dimensions and up. Unless of course you are a very high vibrational star being, then it can be happening in like a 9th to 10th dimension. You might be still having some kind of a vessel, some kind of a body, some kind of a form, or something that appears like that. Because let's be real, even when I see star beings, I would describe this experience of seeing different star beings. It's like I see their sort of aura, and the inner dinosaur painter artist in my brain kind of fills in the gaps. So that's like my third eye, and then my physical eyes that see the aura. My physical eyes see the aura, my third eye sees the rest. So that's kind of how they work together for me. And I've heard of people who have like a really strong physical sort of clairvoyance, physical vision, where they just see everything really strongly, really vibrantly. And that is possible. People do have that ability. That's wonderful. Yeah, if you start to have those experiences where you don't have a body, you are, yes, very much close to that 10 to 11 dimensional consciousness. And above that is where we have closer and closer to source consciousness, which at that point I don't really know if that matters so much as to whether or not you're dreaming, because you are in that ultimate 0.1ness. With that said, I hope this kind of clarifies some of these things. Thank you for listening. My name is Alvia. My pronouns are he, him, if for whatever you needed the information. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you later.